What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode with your boy Phrankleen. Right, so for this video I've got my notes on my laptop here, so you're going to catch me looking in that direction ever so often. Okay, 3 causes of marital conflict, 3 major things: communication, sexual intercourse, and third-party interference. And at the end of this I've got a bonus point that I'm going to talk about. Now, on the communication, I've got the first bullet point, which is yelling at your partner or your spouse. Now, we are all susceptible to anger, okay? Your partner's going to do something to piss you off, get on your nerves at some point and stuff like that. And then what happens is we lose our cool, and in the process, you want to express your feelings. You're trying to convey that information to your partner to let them know that they've done da 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 da. Now, if we have a pattern of yelling at your partner, yelling at them, constantly yelling at them, what happens is that tends to demoralize that partner's feelings, and it affects them mentally. So what that then does in the long run is it actually sabotages that means of communication. They probably just hit sort of like a roadblock mentally, and then they probably just stop listening to you, which would then cause more frustration and then more chaos in the relationship. Having a competitive attitude, still under communication in a relationship, in the sense that when you have an argument, rather than looking for a resolution, okay, it's okay to express yourself, but constantly wanting to win the battle and wanting to say everything from A to Z really doesn't help. It sabotages your relationship, and it doesn't help communication. It just ruins everything. And what you find is one of you pulls into their shell. It could be the man, it could be the woman, and then it just sabotages everything. It collapses in the long run, and making your marriage about me instead of we as a team. Some people forget the fact that they are in the marriage. It's about 2 people. Of course, you have to do things that float your boat as an individual, but it's very important to bear in mind that this is a union of 2. All right, so it's very important to carry your partner along, carry yourselves along, to communicate ever so often. And then that also ties me to the last bullet point on the communication, which is discuss. You find out several partners never communicate. You see, communication is a major cog in the relationship. It actually ties to several other parts in the relationship, because if you communicate ever so often, you're on the same page, you understand yourselves, it constantly helps to improve your relationship. It provides you a platform to be able to resolve your differences, and it basically energizes you more. It strengthens your bond, and you can work together as a tag team. So communication plays a major role. I cannot stress it enough. The next bullet point is sexual intercourse. Now, sexual intercourse in a marriage or whatever relationship you find yourself, the topic of sexual intercourse, about sexual satisfaction, how often you should have sex and all that stuff, is really subjective. Okay, there are findings out there that some partners might be sexually frustrated in a relationship. They think you're not getting enough sex, but I must stress that sex plays a major role. Researchers have pointed out that when partners are on the same page, you have sex ever so often, you make love, it improves your bonding, it improves level of happiness, and it also helps your relationship overall. But there is this thing I've got here. There is no set template regarding the frequency of sexual intercourse. Okay, it's mythical to suggest that we need to have sex 20 times a week, or 10 times a week, or 5 times a day and stuff like that. What you need to bear in mind is about sexual intercourse, right? Your partner might more than likely have low or high libido. So one person might have higher libido than the other person. The other person might be, usually, for example, women, they might have a low libido because of childbirth. Sometimes low libido might come from the male because of stress, because of medication, because of underlying health problems, or maybe you're just aging. There's so many other factors. I'm going to look through my notes very quickly. Childbirth, overall lifestyle. It might be even stress from work, your workload. Sometimes when it affects the home life. Okay, so but this is why I'm saying that communication, the first bullet point, ties into this. It's very important that, okay, for example, you don't have a sense of entitlement because I want to make love and my partner is not responsive. As long as, it's also important to note this, do not use, it's unacceptable to use sex as a weapon, as a sort of emotional abuse in the relationship, deliberately depriving your partner of sex, using it as a weapon. Some people do, some men do, some women do. It's absolutely disgraceful. It's unhealthy. It's emotionally unhealthy. It will end up sabotaging your relationship. I don't think it's fair. Whatever reason, and another thing to bear in mind is some women or some men, they might be sexually dysfunctional in a relationship because of a previous sexual abuse and stuff. This is why I keep going back to communication being a powerful tool. A lot of couples don't communicate enough because you know why? If you connect with your partner, you'll be able to know, they might be able to come to a point where they open up and be able to tell you some things and say maybe they were raped, maybe this is what they're going through, or because of the childbirth my body's changing. Some women, because of childbirth, they put on weight and that might just knock their confidence. They don't feel comfortable going naked. So for you as a man, it shouldn't just be about you busting a nut, having an erection and getting between the legs. It's emotional bonding. It's absolutely crucial so you are on the same page. You might have to just lean back a bit and find how to morally, mentally, and better ways to support your partner so they can then grow their confidence and you can enjoy sex together. Right, I've got something here. I think I actually put something down about sex, in the sense that the average couple have sex 68.5 times a year, and which means 5 to 6 times a month and once or twice a week. Okay, there isn't a set template, like I said earlier, so there shouldn't be a pressure on, oh, we need to have sex 10 times a week, or I need to have sex, now that we're having sex, we need to have sex 3, 4, 5 times. It's very important to bear in mind that the whole sex and love making in a relationship sits on a foundation of happiness, sits on a foundation of course, mutual consent, sits on a foundation of a healthy state of mind, right? So it's more of the quality of the love making rather than the quantity, if that makes sense. But I must tell you, sexual intercourse plays a very important role. Try various sexual positions. I'm not a sex expert, okay? It might be worth speaking to professionals if you're struggling and stuff. But like I say, you communicating with your partner, being on the same page, is the very start of it plays a very crucial role, I want to say. Then some people destroy their marriages because my pastor said, you're within your rights, whatever religion floats your boat, okay? But you can't use a religion or my pastor said, my reverend said, the bishop said, as a sort of yardstick to deprive your partner, okay, of sexual intercourse, or to deprive your marriage or your relationship. Right, it takes me to the third point. Third party interference. Man, that's like a major one, okay? And I've got down in-laws, friends, neighbors, pastors, and other spiritual leaders, okay? These are major causes, trust me, they destroy a lot of relationships. Third-party interference are usually deadly. Now, particularly in the African setting, okay? For example, if your wife has a baby or you get married, you always have, in-laws and mother-in-law and this and that. People will get involved. Maybe when you've just had a baby, mother-in-law might be there to support and help you nurture the baby and support you, morally, physically, moving around with errands and stuff, which is great, which is amazing. But there must be boundaries. And there is one thing I need to say very quickly. If you lack boundaries in your relationship regarding the involvement of third parties, you will end up regretting, you will end up losing, destroying that relationship. You must set boundaries for third parties. You cannot allow interference, because what happens is there is something that I personally believe in. Families never forget. Don't put your business in the hands of your mom and dad, your sisters, your brother. Sometimes because we are angry, you're unhappy, you take your business, you put it in their hands. Guess what? You and your partner might end up solving your differences and you put it behind you. You made love to yourselves, you forgive yourselves, you carry on. Families never forget. Families never forget. If you sit your sister down and you badmouth your wife, or you badmouth your husband, you badmouth your husband before your parents or your siblings or any other relatives or friends and stuff, you move on, you think it's behind you. Those people never forget. They come back later, they use it against you, and those things end up destroying, relationships. It's very important. If your parents come to your home to visit you, make sure the visit is limited. Make sure their navigation around your house and poke nosing into your marital affairs and having opinions, they are limited. Cut it short if you can. Absolutely avoid it. Now, I must put a disclaimer. In extenuating and very serious circumstances where you have things like domestic abuse, where there is a major threat to your life, where, for example, as a woman, your partner is hitting you and beating you up, please, by all means, get help. Speak to the police or speak to your family, get help. It's very important that you stay alive. Don't stay in that relationship where there is a physical abuse. Even if it's a man, a woman is posing a threat to your life, or she's about to drain you of your assets, or she's going to do something dangerous, threaten to physically harm you. It could be a man, it could be a woman. Please get help. You need third-party help. It could be the police, the local authorities. Take your children. If there are young kids, run. Okay? Because safety is very important. Now, aside those type of things, you have misunderstandings. Trust me, with the territory of a relationship, you have your rocky times, you have your challenges, you learn. I go back to the first point. Communication is key. Communication is fundamental. Those of you Africans, Nigerians, I'm saying it to you if you're watching this, or any other nationality, stop running to your useless and stupid pastors. Pastors and all this self-proclaimed idiots with titles have been known to sabotage a lot of marriages. In fact, in the worst case scenario, some of them have even been known to end up sleeping with other people's wives. Facts. So don't put these people on pedestals like they've got all answers. It's, in fact, you do yourself a lot more favor if you sit down with your partner and you trash things out. You will be amazed how going for a walk with your husband or your wife, just sitting down, turn off the TV. You can leave the kids with your friend or the childminder. Just go out for a meal or just sit at home, have a chat, look at yourselves in the eyes, talk things out. Tell them what you don't like. Tell them what you like. Tell them, discuss really how you can make this work. You cannot be in a relationship where you are being competitive, you're trying to tear each other down. You might as well just go in your separate directions and go. Now, for the bonus point, I know a lot of people might be expecting me to talk about this. It's commonly known that money causes a major problem in relationships. But I'm going to say this. There is a reason why I'm not going to buttress on this so much. Money is very important. I agree 100% in a relationship, to live a good life, to pay your bills, to be able to fulfill your dreams and do a lot of things, raise your kids and all that stuff. Yes, money forms a major part of our lives, okay? It keeps the wheel going. But money is not so important in a relationship. It's important, it's not so important. What do I mean? That's why you find a lot of multimillionaires, wives of billionaires, who are miserable, who are not happy. Oh, they can drive the latest Ferraris, they can buy the latest Gucci's, the Pradas, the Balenciagas, the Armanis and stuff, the Tiffany and Co., and they're still not satisfied. You know why? Money has its place. Oh yeah, it's right up there with oxygen, right? We need it. That's a fact. But money does not really guarantee. Money can't buy a healthy, long-lasting relationship. It's impossible. Money can get you material things, can open certain doors. Money can't buy you happiness. Money cannot get you true love. It's absolutely impossible. Money can't. So it's the simple things that actually solidifies relationships. It's the simple things. And I'm telling you, you notice I keep buttressing. Communication goes a long way. A lot of people don't. Like men, if you're struggling with health issues, if you're overweight, sometimes maybe because you've put on weight, talk to your partner, support yourselves. Just go to the gym. Start exercising together. Go for walks. Support yourselves. Don't body shame your wife. Don't body shame your husband. Work together. Words, sweet words, they go a long way. Money, the moment you are in a relationship, trust is a major part. Of course, trust is a major part of relationship. So if trust is diminished, when people start hiding their monies, or you're dishonest, or because your husband is out of work and then you think he's a bum, if a man is out of work and is genuinely hunting to get another job, you must stick with your husband, support him. The grass is not always greener on the other side. You know, that's why I said to you, be careful about third-party interference. Everybody and their mama has got opinion. If you go to your friends, everybody's got opinion. Oh, he's a bum, let him go. You see, those your friends that tell you that you should boot your husband out, they'll be the ones that go behind your back, that will go and sleep with him. That your male friend that tells you your wife ain't shit, you need that side chick, that guy will be the one to go behind your back and make a pass at that woman. When you put work into that relationship, true work, both of you as friends, as partners, you realize that good sex will fall into place. You won't have to focus on sex. When you put the work in on the other areas, you realize that your wife will share her monies with you. When you don't abuse that woman's trust in you, you realize money is not the major thing. If your wife trusts you enough to give you £2,000, maybe to start a business and stuff, just give the money back to her if you've promised to give it back. Unless she says, don't worry, my husband, don't worry about it. Okay, I give it to you as a gift to grow that business. If your husband gives you money or supports you with a resource and you promise to pay back, or you promise to do something, just do it. Don't take yourselves for granted. That's me done, really. It's your boy Phrankleen. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and yeah. Oh, before I go, you realize I didn't talk about religion. I'm not a religious person, okay? Religion has never helped. There is one thing. You cannot tame a man or a woman with some scriptures. The Bible says this and this. It's a lie. That person is a human being with blood running through their veins. Understand that person, amalgamate your feelings with that person, show them love, show them compassion, okay? Connect with them, bond with them, find a friend in them, and watch your relationship flourish. Not some pastors, not some Bible, not some Quran, not some Buddhism, nothing. Okay, respect yourself, build true values, and watch yourself flourish. It's your boy Phrankleen. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.